Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's continue our complete beginner's guide to MTG Arena, Magic the Gathering Arena, here in 2023. And the sprite is telling us that we have a quest, which is to complete a color challenge. And we get all kinds of awesome rewards if we do that. So let's just go ahead and continue. I think it's the easiest thing to do to keep playing white with the Keep the Peace deck that we've been using, okay? And then this will allow us to basically just be more familiar with the deck and unlock cards for it. So I'm just going to click play and go into the first part of this tutorial. So we're going to fight Chandra Nalar. All right. She's making goblins. So, like I said at the end of the previous video, at this point we're playing full-on Magic. What that means is we start with 7 cards, somebody gets determined to go first, okay? And in MTG Arena, they use the player draw system, which means like you can either go first and you have 7 cards, and if you go second, it means you draw, so you let the other person go first, and you go second, but you get to draw a card on your first turn. Typically, if you go first, you do not get to draw a card on your first turn as a way to mitigate the going first advantage, okay? And this is nice because it's a little bit of a wrinkle. It's a choice that you get to make based on the deck. Usually, you just want to go ahead and go first, but what they're telling us is that you can only have 7 cards in your hand at the end of your turn, so we have too many cards right now because we had 7 and we drew 1, all right, at the beginning of our turn. Now, we can push L to hide the phases, or push L to show the phases. I like seeing the phases over here in the bottom right where I'm at, okay? So I find that to be helpful. And what we're going to do is, of course, play a Plains, and our turn is over. And it ended it because we couldn't do anything. You're going to notice that our deck is different, right? So we have a full deck. In MTG, typically you have a 60-card deck when you're dueling. That is the kind of gold standard. That's the minimum amount of cards you can have unless you're playing some other format. But in regular standard format, it's a 60-card deck. So we have 60 cards, right? And you can have more than that, but if you put more cards than 60, you run the risk of diluting your deck and reducing the chance to draw the cards that you're looking for. So I have, for example, the Hallowed Priest, the Impassioned Orator, and then the Shrine Keeper, which we're used to. But the Shrine Keeper is just a 2/2. But what else do we have? Okay, so we have a Hallowed Priest. And let's just talk about sequencing. The Hallowed Priest says that whenever we gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Hallowed Priest. This means that it will increase. You put a counter on this priest, which will give it +1/+1, make it a 2/2 the first time, for example. And you get to keep adding counters whenever you gain life. So this is a kind of card that wants to snowball. And this is a deck that's built around boosting our cards and gaining life, okay? But we don't want to play this card first, necessarily, because we don't have a mechanism to gain life yet. But you can see the Impassioned Orator says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So if we can get this guy into play, now when we start casting spells, we'll gain life, or summoning creatures as spells, rather. So I'm going to bring out my Plains, and we have a choice. This is the one that we want to start with, because this will enable these to get bigger, all right? So we're going to summon the Orator first and end. Now, Chandra has 2 1/1 goblins. She's playing a goblin deck, and she wants to hit us again and again. She did not attack because we could have easily blocked her Tin Street Cadet. However, if she would have done that, she would have got a 1/1 goblin token if I would have blocked it. Now this says, whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less attacks, Raid Bombardment deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. Okay, so we are the player and the planeswalker in the lore, but there are also planeswalker cards that you can summon that go onto the battlefield that are like also witches and wizards and powerful casters that will help you. And when people attack, if you have one of those cards in play, you can choose to attack the player or that planeswalker card. And if your opponent has a planeswalker, you'll get that choice. We don't have any right now, so it's not a big deal. But this is going to make her deck much more effective, because every time she attacks, she's just going to hit us for damage. So I don't know why the AI decided not to attack, but that's lucky for us. We're going to play a plains. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play this Hallowed Priest, okay? So it's a 1/1. Now, what happens is this. When we play this Hallowed Priest, it triggers the Impassioned Orator's ability, which says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under you control, you gain a life. And then when that triggers, it triggers this character or this creature's ability to give it +1/+1. Okay, so you summon this and it's in play. Then this goes off, and because this is in play and we gained life, this gets bigger. That's why we wanted to play this card first. Okay? And by the way, I am going to attack. And she wants to block. She's going to double block, and this is phenomenal for us. Except for the fact that we lose our life-gaining mechanism. But I will trade and get her board eliminated for the time being. Okay, now she's got a Minotaur, and check this out. So we got a little bit lucky. All right, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think I should have attacked if I was afraid of that, but I will take clearing her board. You don't know if she's got another creature behind to play. She might just have land or something, or spells in her hand, and then that way, we'd have an empty battlefield. So we lost our Orator, but we drew another one, which is beautiful, because now we can do this, and our deck will start to get crazy. Because now we have 2 creatures that are pumping up. So now both of these will trigger, all right? And we have a 3/3, a 2/2, and a 2/2. And I am going to pass this time, so I can block if they decide to attack. All right. Fantastic. So we're going to play this. And now, remember how before in the tutorial, I was kind of saying you don't want to cast creatures until main phase 2? That is usually the way you want to do things. However, in this case, because the Orator, if we summon the Shrinekeeper, will buff up both of our priests, it will trigger their abilities, we want to have that happen before combat. So I'm going to cast this before combat so that we make both of these stronger, okay? And what I'm going to do then is attack with these 2 cards like this. And she doesn't want to block, so she takes a bunch of face damage. Now, that's scary. There's a 4/4 Flying Dragon. She's attacking with both. Okay, we take the damage here. I am not going to block, okay? And we're going to take 6. I don't block because the Hurloon Minotaur is a 2 power, 3 toughness. So if I do block, then what ends up happening is bad for us, which is that I could block straight up with the Shrinekeeper, and it would die, the Minotaur would live. I could double block, but then they definitely kill my Orator, which I want to keep alive, right? It was kind of foolish to attack before. It was a bit reckless and a gamble, and they decided to double block, which killed our Orator, and it could have stopped our progress altogether. So instead, we really want to prioritize keeping this alive. Now I'm actually going to play a Plains, and I'm going to summon my buddy, the Inspiring Commander, okay? And the reason I'm doing this first is, of course, to buff up our creatures. The Orator will trigger. they get bigger, and we are going to attack with these two. At this point, I'm not going to hold anything back. I can block the Hurloon Minotaur with the Inspiring Commander, and they just kind of run into each other and nobody dies. I can't do anything to block this. All I can do is try to rush down Chandra and beat her by taking down her life before she beats mine, right? And so I have 9. I have 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 2 is 13. So I actually can kill her if I attack with everything. She has no blockers. She has no mana. So we just attack with all of our cards, and we win. You can't just sit back all the time and block. Sometimes you have to chip them away so that you can reach and race them down. And that's what we did. So we easily won right there. It was beautiful. And what do we get? We got an upgrade. So they're saying, hey, do you want to add these to your deck at the expense of taking out these cards right here, perhaps, right? And I want to add these to our deck, and it's going to do this for us, right? So we're going to get Leonin War Leader, who is a rare card. So we get a rare. It's 2 colorless and 2 white mana for this cat soldier. And whenever he attacks, you make 2 1/1 white tokens with lifelink that are tapped and are attacking. So he's a 4/4, and if you attack with him, you also get 2 1/1 creatures. You can see them to the right, those cats right there. And they come out attacking and have lifelink. So you're gaining life, you're bringing in creatures into play, which are triggering everything that you have. Your Hallowed Keepers and your Inspiring Commander. We also get Bond of Discipline, which is a sorcery, and it says tap all creatures your opponent controls. And creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. So this is an uncommon card. It's very expensive and slow, but it can turn the entire tide of battle. If you're in a stalemate kind of happens when you and your opponent have similar board states, so nobody wants to attack. And you're just kind of waiting around. This lets you just tap all of their stuff and attack. And then even if you leave yourself open, you're gaining a bunch of life, which will hopefully make you able to withstand their attack, but also you could potentially just kill them by tapping all of their blockers. So we'll just upgrade the deck and put those inside. Now we're going to do challenge 2, which is going to fight white versus black, and we're going to play against Liliana. So let's go ahead and do that. So Liliana Vess is a famous planeswalker in black, and here we go. So she has summoned the Typhoid Rats, which have Death Touch, and so you can always mouse over a card and get its ability by getting the card blown up, seeing what Death Touch does, but also certain abilities have a little shorthand icon, and Death Touch is this kind of skull with flames on it, which means any amount of damage a source with Death Touch deals to a creature is enough to destroy it. So if this hits you, no matter how much toughness you have, your creature will die. It doesn't kill you, the player, it just kills other creatures. So it's a great blocker. You can block a 10-10 with these rats, and the 10-10 will die from the Death Touch if it takes damage. So we're going to summon this, and we're done. And she's going to attack and do 1 damage. Alright, and we're going to bring out our planes. And now we can, remember the ordering here, we want to get the Impassioned Orator out first. Okay, and we do not want to block because we don't want our Orator to die. Now, she has summoned Malakir Cullblade, and it says, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on the Cullblade. So this is almost like, you know, an evil version, or a, you know, I don't know, evil is the right word, but a demonic, you know, black color identity version of the Hallowed Priest. this guy's like, hey, if you heal, I get stronger. And this guy's like, hey, if you kill things, I get stronger. So there's that. Now, we have a choice. We could play the Hallowed Priest right now, and it'd be a 2-2. Or we could play another Orator and wait on this. And then when we play the Priest, it will be a 4-4 when we start. Because it will trigger both Orators, and each instance of us gaining life... I'm sorry, a 3-3 will give this a +1/+1, so it'll be a 3-3. But if we play it now, it becomes, okay, a 2-2, and then we play this guy, and he will trigger this to make this a 3-3. So, you know, it's kind of a little bit of both... similar results, I suppose, but what I want to do is play this first anyway, because if we draw another small creature to play after we get this into play, it's going to be nicer. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to keep trying to get these guys out, and we're going to say... no, I'm not going to attack. I'm going to wait, I'm not going to block, and see if they want to attack with the Call Blade. They don't. Okay. So we're now going to summon this Priest, which will become a 3-3. Okay. And at this point, I am going to attack with both of these. And we've gained enough life that we don't care about the rats. We're not going to block. And we're luckily in a situation where we drew Angelic Reward, which gives us flight. So she summoned a Sengir Vampire, which is another classic MTG card, kind of the foil to the Sarah Angel that we looked at earlier. This card is a 4/4 flyer for 5, 2 black, 3 colorless. Whenever a creature is dealt damage by the vampire and it dies, it gets a +1/+1 counter. So this thing can snowball. It's a little bit harder to trigger it, but even without the triggering, it's just a 4/4 flyer, which is really nasty. Luckily, we drew this, which allows us to buff up our Priest, and now the Priest can catch this vampire, and so we're not going to attack. We're just going to keep the Priest in play defensively, no blocks, take that damage. Okay, fantastic. Now we're starting to go. So I'm going to summon this. This will get us a bunch of life and a bunch of tokens. So now I'm going to start attacking with my Priest. I don't care if she blocks with her vampire. I need to start racing her down at this point. We can win in 2 turns if she doesn't have a spell to kill our Priest. So we're doing a ton of damage, and we have a way to gain life. So even if she wants to attack... Okay, now she has 2 vampires, which is a little bit scarier. Ooh, but she's decided to attack, so she got a little bit greedy. We're not going to block, remember? And fantastic. Check this out. This is going to give us an insane boost. This is a new card that we got. So we cast this guy, and he's going to give all of our priests a buff. We gain a bunch of life, right? And here's our choice. Let's just see, if I attack with just the Priest, they have to block with the vampire. Okay, no problem. But because this does so much damage, they have to block here. If I attack with everything, they would block the 10/10 with the Sengir Vampire, and then block the 5/5 with the Call Blade, and I would get 4 damage through. They would be able to retaliate. They would have the vampire and the rats remaining and hit me for 5, but I do have a blocker if I needed it for the 1/1, but I don't. I have plenty of life, and then we would put them at 4, which would mean that they're in a terrible position to try to block all of our forces. So I'm actually going to attack with everything. Okay, so indeed, the 10-10 has to get blocked here. The 5-5 gets blocked here. And we get through with 4. We kill 2 of their creatures, lose none of our creatures. And she summons another rat. Attacks with everything because why not? She knows the writing is on the proverbial wall right here. All right, and all we need to do is just say all attack. I'm only going to do this. They do have the rat, so the rat can block our 5-5 and kill it. I'm only doing this because I want to show you what happens when you attack with the war leader and you have the orator and priests out. What the synergy of this deck does. Synergy is a term that's used in Magic the Gathering specifically. Obviously, synergy has meanings outside of this game, but in the game, what it means is like the mechanics and cards that you have that are working together. And this is showing you the power of life gain, creature summoning, and creatures that get tokens from life gain. Everything's going to happen here. So first, you can see everything that is triggered. It's all happening on the right. Okay. And we pumped up these. We gained life. And now things are going to be over for Liliana. So we just launched the attack here. Take her down to -20. Not bad, huh? So we win pretty easily, and these are meant to be easy, but if you lose one of these, no big deal. You know, it's just practice. There's no penalty. You'll just have to do it again until you win, and then you get the reward. So we got a Goring Ceratops, a big dinosaur, that is a 3/3 double strike, and whenever it attacks, other creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. Double strike is a devastating ability that lets you attack twice, basically. And the first time you attack, you get first strike, which means you do your damage before them, and if you kill them, they don't get to retaliate. And then you do your damage again. And this giving you to everything just means that you do double damage, and you can just completely destroy somebody and win the game with one attack of this card. We also got a Moorland Inquisitor, and he is a 1 colorless, 1 white, 2/2 with an ability, which says that if you pay 2 colorless and a white, you can give this guy first strike. So he's very nice. He's, you know, he's just basically a grizzly bear, which is a colorless and a green, the classic card. That's a 2/2. But he has an ability, so he's even superior to that. And he's easier to get out than our Shrine Keeper, which is 2 white and a 2/2 and has no ability. So we're going to upgrade the deck. And now we're going to fight Jace, another legendary planeswalker, but for blue. Blue uses creatures with flying to avoid blockers. And what these tutorials are doing is showcasing to us bits of the color identity, right? So we saw red rushing us down with goblins. We saw black using Death Touch. And now we're going to see blue presumably playing flying. Okay, so in this case, we have nothing to do, and we go first. No, I'm sorry, we went second. They went, Jace already went and played his island, and we just play a plains and we're done. We got our new Moorland Inquisitors in our hand. We're going to play a plains and play an Inquisitor. Okay, pretty straightforward so far. We've got these instant tactical advantage that we learned how to use if they block, but they haven't been. So remember, we're not going to do anything right now. We're just going to go ahead and attack. And wait. Now, think about that. Part of the reason why you don't summon also is to leave your mana available. If, let's just say, Jace had some flash card he wanted to drop in to block and kill our Inquisitor, we could then use the mana that we have to play tactical advantage once or even twice if we needed to make sure we win the combat and destroy their card, keep our creature alive. Now we can summon our other Inquisitor. Also, we left enough mana to give our creature first strike if we needed to. Alright, so he has summoned a 2/1 Merfolk, okay? So, no problem. We're going to summon... actually, no. Let's wait. Let's just do it like this. And we will attack with everything. And let's see what happens. So he's going to block right there. I'm actually just going to use a tactical advantage. I could use the first strike ability and save a card, but I want to get the Hallowed Priest out into play. So I'm just going to use this because it's only 1 mana. And we'll kill their creature, do 2 damage, and summon our priest. Okay, and right on cue, Jace comes up with the goods, and the goods being a giant air elemental. Now, check this out. We're going to be really sneaky, and Jace has no idea. Jace is tapped out, has no mana, and we have tactical advantage, and we have first strike. So if we combine these, because we have the available mana, this costs 1, giving first strike cost 3, so this would be 4 mana, which we have 5 mana available. We can, if he chooses to block with the air elemental, make us a 4/4 as well, but then give us first strike. So we will do our damage to the air elemental before it can do its damage to us, and kill it, and take it down, and then remove their air elemental from the board, which is beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and do it. All attack. Wait, not this one. Sorry. Just the 2/2s, please. And he's fallen right into the trap. So I'm going to click on our creature, and I'm going to say activate ability. And it's just going to automatically tap mana for us. Again, you can go to full control if you want to tap instead. But when we only have 1 color, it's not as necessary. I'm going to use tactical advantage and target this one. And now I'm going to say next and next. So you saw how the combat phase kind of got divided up into 2 right there? That was because of first strike. And so we're going to do the same thing again. All right? We're going to just clear out these air elementals. I could easily play this, okay? And if I play Bond of Discipline, we tap the air elemental, and then we'd attack with everything, and we'd get life, and that would make our Hallowed Priest bigger, which is cool, but it's not devastating in the way that removing this air elemental from the board would be. So I'm going to just attack again with these 2. And again, we just activate ability. And we play this on our Inquisitor, making it a 4/4 with first strike. And then the first half of the damage phase happens with first strike, and then again. A 3rd air elemental. 3 times a charm. Well, we can do this all day. We drew another one. This is hilarious. Jace is going to be on tilt the 3rd time. All right, we're going to attack with these 2. Okay, we're going to activate ability. And we're going to tactical advantage. And just do that. Okay. You add the air elementals. He's drawing cards, which is scary. But that's using his whole turn. And now it's just a 2/2. 2/1. Fantastic. Okay, so now we have Angelic Reward, which basically gives us defense against an air elemental. And I'm going to put this on my Hallowed Priest because it can get larger. And I will just attack with... No, I'm going to attack with everything. I know that he can block with the Coral Merfolk and kill one of my Inquisitors, but this will clear their board if... And they don't have to block, but they will. And then we will have the advantage. All right. We have this up our sleeve for a killing stroke. So they summon the Cloudkin Seer. They draw a card. Blue loves to draw cards. It's something that they do. Here they go, all over again. It looks like, you know, they're starting to stabilize. But we've been saving this, and this is our kill card. We're going to Bond of Discipline and tap both of their creatures, and then attack, and there's no blockers. Over. Wonderful. You really love to see it. So we get another Inspiring Commander, which is great, and we get the Fencing Ace. This guy is pretty fun. He's a 1/1 double strike for 2, so he can take down other 1/1s because he's got first strike, but also if you can get an enchantment on him, a buff of some kind, he becomes absolutely insane. So we'll upgrade our deck and just be really happy about it. So now we have worked through the first 3 phases of the white color challenge and are building up this deck, okay? And I think this is a good place to end the tutorial episode. We're really seeing what a full game looks like, what sequencing looks like, strategies for attacking and blocking using instants, and also seeing what each color is capable of in a kind of broad thematic way with traditional color identity deck types. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're finding this helpful. Take care.